Hi, I'm Christy. I want to talk to you today about renting AJ's cap and gown for his graduation ceremony. This is the next major event during his senior year, and the first time that this came up, it came up a couple times throughout the year, but the first time when we did it was in about October. And I remember thinking, wow, it's kind of early for this, but it was nice to get it over with, and then it was one less thing to think about. Now, the actual process of going through was fairly painless. The company that did this had it pretty well laid out, and it was pretty easy to do. Obviously, except for the cost, because I'm sure you can imagine everything that relates to senior year is expensive. But again, it's a memorable and significant year, and so companies play off of that. So when the day came, I went to the school and I helped him pick out the right size gown. Now, it was based off his height and weight, so it was pretty simple. And he tried it on, we noted the size, good to go. Simple, relatively painless. The trickier part was trying to figure out what else we wanted to order. Now, this company offered a whole bunch of things like graduation announcements, thank you notes with a graduation theme, class rings, letter jackets, hoodies, lanyards, frames. You get the idea. I don't think that's even everything. And then, of course, they offered packages of different items and different combinations, and oh my goodness, there were so many choices. In the end, we opted for a smaller package that included a few graduation announcements, a few thank you notes, a hoodie, the cap and gown rental. Well, he got to keep the cap. He had to turn in the gown immediately after graduation. And then we added on a lanyard and a tassel that he got to keep. Now, as you're listening to all of this, you're probably thinking, okay, that's all great for you, but so what? How does this apply to me? Why do I care? Well, that's a good question. So I thought I'd spend a few minutes giving you a glimpse into our decision process. Basically, what we did is we considered what was really, truly needed for graduation. Now, we knew we wanted him to participate in the graduation ceremony itself, so obviously he would have to have a cap and gown. I wanted to go ahead and send out grad announcements. It was one thing that we could do for him that would be like a typical kid. And sometimes it's hard for us to do typical things like that. So I really wanted to send out the graduation announcements. And so with that came the thank you notes would make sense to me. Sending out announcements, it's not uncommon to think, well, some of those people may send him graduation gifts, so let's give him some graduation thank you cards. We decided to add a tassel. I believe they called it a memory tassel, or something a little bit special that he could keep, and then a lanyard for all of the keys that he loves to carry around with him all the time. So those things were just a couple things that would give him some mementos from his senior year. Now, there were a couple things that we ruled out pretty quickly. We ruled out a class ring because we didn't think that he would understand the significance or care if he had one. He doesn't wear jewelry, and so we looked at that and said, that's one expensive thing, unimportant, not going to do it. He wasn't a part of any sports teams, and he was only a part of one club, and they don't hand out letters for that club, so there was really no need for him to get a letter jacket. And again, we didn't think he'd understand the significance of it. And another big thing, living in the desert, we have no need for big, heavy jackets. So that was another thing we quickly decided, too expensive, not needed. Now, I realize that every family and every student has a different situation, and they're likely to make different decisions, and that's perfectly okay. What I want to do here is give you our perspective on things and help you understand how we came to our decisions. So I would recommend thinking about things like these questions. How much does your loved one understand about these events and these different items? How important are they to your loved one? As far as the graduation ceremony itself goes, is your loved one able to sit quietly and appropriately for the length of the ceremony? I'm sure someone at your school can tell you exactly how long or approximately how long it'll be and what kind of behavior would be expected. Another question I'd ask is, are there any items that your loved one has specifically expressed a desire to have? And if they have, do they have a true understanding of the meaning behind them, or are they just repeating things that they're hearing around? Of course, there's always the question of how much can you afford? And finally, what is your family's priorities for these kinds of items? Now, this is not a comprehensive list by any stretch of the imagination, but I hope that it helps to get you start thinking about what you want or what your loved one would need for a situation like this. So my question for you this week is, what questions do you ask to help you decide what to get for your loved one on some of these bigger events in their lives? Is there a key question I've forgotten? I'd love to hear what it is. You can leave me a comment below, or you can leave me a comment on my blog at www.havenofhopeforme.com. This originally posted in August of 2018. And any comments or questions that you leave may just be something that another family needs to hear, so I'd love for you to help one another out. I'd also appreciate it if you would share this with anybody that you think might find it enjoyable or helpful. And if you'd like to know about the latest content that I have as it's released, I'd love for you to sign up for my email list. You can find a link for that also on my blog at www.havenofhopeforme.com. So as I'm looking at this, I find myself very grateful for the opportunity that AJ had to experience an event in a typical manner like every other kid. And I'm remembering that life is good and there is never a dull moment.